Tonight on the Donlon Report, we are 1 year from the midterm elections, and despite the infrastructure win, President Biden and the Democrats still have a long way to go. How can they make sure what happened in Virginia doesn't happen throughout the country? Plus, mandate madness hits Sesame Street. Big Bird as government propagandist? At least one senator thinks so, and now a second grader may be held back for not wearing a mask. Is that fair? Plus this.
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
That was Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm laughing off a question about U.S. oil production. But as we're paying more at the pump and to heat our homes, it's no laughing matter for a lot of people. So what is the administration's plan to reduce energy costs? Great to have you with us as we start another week. Live from our Chicago studios, the Donlon Report starts right now. Good evening. What happened to all the great news? And why can't we take a breath and enjoy it? That is the pulse of America tonight. In fact, 72 hours ago, on our last broadcast, we were touting a possible end to the pandemic, a rip-roaring report on jobs coming back in America, and a few hours later, the infrastructure bill passed. With the exception of the extreme wings of both parties, which have their own reasons to vote no, the infrastructure bill, by and large, is a good thing for America. It brings money to build bridges, roads, and mass transit. 6 progressive Democrats voted against it. 13 Republicans voted for it. And now Trump supporters in the party vow to oust every single one of those 13. In a minute, one of them, Congressman Tom Reid of New York, joins us to discuss his vote and why we can't just enjoy a win, no matter who gets the credit. We'll talk about that. And for a few hours Friday night and into Saturday, we were on an upswing, at least politically. Washington got something done, a compromise. Congress approved funding for highways, the power grid, public transportation, and more. But we woke up to headlines like these from the New York Times. America is trapped in a pandemic funk, and we simply can't shake that gloomy outlook. Voters are unhappy about a long list of issues as well, from the sloppy Afghanistan exit to the crisis at the southern border, not to mention the ongoing pandemic over fights that involve mandates. And don't forget either the constant browbeating and name-calling on Capitol Hill that we've seen. President Biden ran on a return to normalcy and civility, and voters aren't necessarily seeing it or buying it. The president's approval rating is at 38%, according to a Suffolk University poll, a hair above President Trump's at the same time 4 years ago. If the election were held today, voters in that same poll say they would vote for the Republican congressional candidate over the Democrat by a margin of 46 to 38. So midterms, as we said, exactly 1 year from today, November 8th, 2022, and game plans are already in motion. And that's where we begin tonight with Congressman Tom Reid, Republican of New York. Congressman, it's great to have you. So our Pulse Friday was there's good news and a lot of it. Why can't we enjoy just a few victories? Why are we in this funk, do you think?
It's Washington, D.C. gridlock. It continues to be us versus them, Democrats versus Republican. And I will just tell you, I think the American people always lose when you're fighting D's versus R 24/7. And that's why I stood up, voted for the infrastructure bill. It's a good compromise bill. And in this, in the end of it, the American people win. So I don't understand this frustrating gridlock that we see on display each and every day.
Is that part of why you decided not to run again?
Absolutely. I will tell you, but I put a 12-year term limit on myself to begin with. And I believe in change. I believe in the turnover, new ideas coming to Washington. But right now, I will tell you, Washington is broken. Democrats versus Republicans is the norm. And there's just this hatred almost that you sense on the floor of the House. And we're doing our best with the Problem Solvers Caucus, bipartisan group of members that I founded on the Republican side with my friend Josh Gottheimer on the Democratic side. And I'll just tell you, we're the only beacon of hope where you can have a debate, you can respect each other, you can agree to disagree, and at the end of the day, try to find common ground for the American people.
What worries me about this, Congressman, is the people who are resigning or deciding not to run again are like you, the moderates, the people who are in the middle willing to make some compromise. What do you make of that?
What I believe is the American people are waking up. The silent majority are not going to stand for those that are going to go to Washington, D.C. to vote no. You have to govern. There's 435 members in Congress. I'm the youngest of 12. It's like a big family at times. And I will tell you, the American people are going to reward those that can show I'm a proud Republican. I know proud Democrats. But at the end of the day, we can set down our swords and find common ground to advance America's agenda.
Why couldn't we do it here, Congressman, in a bill that was called the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and yet only 13 Republicans voted for it? Why is that in the end?
Yeah, well, first of all, remember 19 Senate Republicans came together to support this legislation. And what we're focusing on right now in Washington is politics 24/7. And I will tell you, there's blame all the way around. There's blame on the Democratic side of the aisle. There's blame on the Republican side. They could have passed this months ago with many more Republican votes in the House, but they were trying to get too far to the left on the Democratic side. They didn't want to bank a win. They were playing this leveraging game. That's not successful for the American people. And what you need to do is separate these things out, vote them one by one. And the more you do that, the more you'll find that there's more we agree upon that we disagree upon.
Would you have changed your vote, or would it have been harder to vote yes if you were running again? I mean, we've got at least one member of the party there, Representative Cawthorn, who said that he'd primary the hell out of anyone who voted yes for this thing.
No, I appreciate my fellow freshman member on the Republican side coming in with that energy and that vigor. But, you know, I've been in Washington, D.C. For 11 years right now. And I would say this is a bill that I worked on for 10 years. And as my freshman members, when I came in 2010, will evolve, will hopefully mature, they're going to have to understand that governing is hard. Voting no is the easy vote. You can vote no all day long. But voting yes is true leadership. And I will tell you, I applaud those of my fellow 13 that voted for it and said, you know what, we're going to do what's right. We're going to stand on policy, and we'll take care of the politics. So it wouldn't have changed my vote. I can assure you of that. This
was supposed to be the easier of the two packages to pass. And I guess as messy as this was, the question now becomes what happens with the one that's going to be tougher, this Build Back Better plan. I'm assuming you're a no on that?
I'm a hard no on that because they've gone too far to the extremes in that spending legislation, $1.75 trillion bill. They have put policies in there that are just too big government that I'm opposed to and adamantly opposed to, and will fight against it. That's where you can fight. That's where you can put your differences down on paper and get into the ring. But at the end of the day, I will tell you, they're going to have a hard time getting that passed because the extremes of the Democratic Party are now demanding purity and are trying to horse trade a piece of legislation that is way too big for reconciliation to pass under that process that they've elected.
One thing you won't miss after you leave, what is it?
You know, I will not miss the partisan gridlock. I will not miss those that want to put personal hatred on display. It's a wonderful institution. I love the United States House of Representatives and Congress and most of the people in it. But I will tell you, enough of the theater and playing to the TV stations and the countdown clocks, that drama has to come to an end. And that is something I will surely not miss.
Well, I don't know you very well. This is the first time you and I have talked, but I wish you all the best. And I wish there were more voices like yours, frankly. And I think a lot of people do as well. Representative Tom Reid, Republican of New York, thanks for your time, sir.
Very kind of you, Joe. Look forward to being on again.
All right, take care. Vaccines, good, bad, or for the birds? Well, one bird you likely know well says, yeah, indeed, it is for him. Sesame Street's Big Bird tweeted, no pun intended, the following. I got the COVID-19 vaccine today. My wing is feeling a little sore, but it'll give my body an extra protective boost that keeps me and others healthy. Well, some didn't like it, including Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, who replied with government propaganda for your 5-year-old. Our friend, Reason Magazine senior editor Robbie Swaby joins us now. Robbie, can you believe it's come to this? Did you ever think you'd see a sitting senator attacking Big Bird?
Well, this is a particularly unhinged attack, but there is a long history of criticizing Sesame Street, the Committee for Public Broadcasting,
sure.
The government-funded art creative ventures, which I share. I would support getting rid of the government subsidy just on general principle. Now, no Republican-controlled Congress has ever taken that step in the last 1,000 years of having this debate. So it's kind of empty words. They complain about it and then don't do anything about it.
Let's talk about the court blocking the president's vaccine mandate, Robbie, because I'm interested. It doesn't seem like anyone's really moving on this. It's sort of like what happened when he was going to test the eviction moratoriums. It almost was going to buy him more time. And if it fails in court, it fails. And then at the end, he can say, well, I tried. I did all I could. It just didn't work out in the courts.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. My sense is that is precisely what the Biden administration is doing with this order. Publicly, they're saying they expect it to hold up. Behind closed doors, I can't imagine they feel so confident. It would be one thing if this was a new law that passed Congress and Biden signed it, a vaccine mandate. It would also be another thing if OSHA went through the normal kind of rulemaking procedure, right, where they propose a rule, there's a notice and comment period, there's all the sorts of bells and whistles that go into an administrative agency crafting a new rule. This was just declared overnight and then kind of laundered under OSHA's authority under this kind of workplace hazard definition that I don't quite think will make sense. I mean, there are some workers that they're not in the workplace. They're working remotely, but this mandate still covers them. So I think there are going to be serious challenges to it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Not sure you heard, Robbie, about the 7-year-old Florida girl suspended 36 times for not wearing a mask, and she apparently might have to repeat the second grade. Aside from the parents who are probably involved in this, I'm sure, you're the principal, Robbie. What do you do?
I would make an exception for anyone who doesn't want to wear masks in the school, because there is very little risk to young people of COVID. Now they can get vaccinated. Finally, I think that's a great thing. I think all families that want to make that choice for their kids should absolutely do so. I don't think it should be required, and I think we need to get past the point of having masks in schools. Randy Weingarten, the president of the teachers union, she was taking her mask off during a conference meeting the other day, and they said, well, why'd you do that? And she said, well, people were having trouble hearing me. Maybe that's the reality for students in schools as well. Maybe they're having a hard time understanding, communicating with each other. I really think the masks have to go in the schools. It's been too long.
Let's talk about some football. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, another NFL great, had some harsh words for Rodgers on the broadcast Sunday. Here's part of that.
I'd give Aaron Rodgers some advice. It would have been nice if he'd have just come to the Naval Academy and learned how to be honest. Yeah. Learn not to lie, because that's what you did, Aaron. You lied to everyone. We are a divided nation politically. We're a divided nation on the COVID-19, whether or not to take the vaccine. And unfortunately, we've got players that pretty much think only about themselves, and I'm extremely disappointed.
Well, the whole crew was quite critical, Robbie. We saw what happened with Kyrie Irving. At least he was upfront about it. What's the difference with Rodgers?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like Rodgers was a little bit evasive about whether he'd gotten the vaccine in the first place. He used the term immunized, and then I take that to mean he meant he took some immunity-enhancing things that I don't think matter for COVID at all. Yeah, again, I'm all for taking the vaccine. I think most people ought to get it. Probably Aaron Rodgers ought to get it, but I'm not his physician, so I don't get to say that. That said, I understand he's contracted COVID. He's going to presumably recover from it, and then as far as we can tell from the science, his immunity from a prior infection will be just about as good, basically as good as a vaccinated person. So then can we just get on with it? We have to get to a point where we stop being so angry at each other for not following the exact same protocols that everyone who wants the level of protection afforded by a vaccine can do that. I wanted that protection. I got that for myself. Again, I advise everyone to do it. But I just don't know how much more sense it makes to just force everyone and to keep having this fractious public debate about it. Yeah. If you want to be whatever level of protection you want for yourself, you can do that. It's not really affecting others at this point.
It absolutely feels that way, Robbie. And I think that's part of why we're in this pandemic funk still, because there isn't a clear exit ramp to what we've been dealing with for a year and a half plus. Robby Soave, senior editor at Reason Magazine. Always good to have you. Thanks. That's Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm Friday, laughing when asked if the U.S. will increase oil production. She blamed OPEC for the surge in oil prices. For a year now, national gas prices have crept up from 209 this time last year to 288 6 months ago, reaching an average high today of $3.42 a gallon. That's according to GasBuddy.com. And brace yourself for much higher heating bills this winter. Soaring fuel prices are predicted as the U.S. supply dwindles. Heating costs are expected to jump 30% for the average U.S. household. Joining me now to talk about this, markets anchor for RFD-TV, Scott Shellady. Scott, it's been a while since we've seen you. I hope you're well.
I'm good, thank you.
Let's talk about what's happening here, Scott, because when I heard about this thing with the energy secretary, I thought maybe she had chuckled a little bit, but it was almost, it was just short of a knee slap, I think. Make of that what you will, but the bottom line here is it true that there's nothing the administration can do? Are they helpless?
Well, if you can name me a part of our economy that is immune from energy prices, I might feel a little bit better, but here's the problem. When you lose control of your energy policy and your energy prices, you lose control of inflation. That's the bottom line. Everything needs to be transported someplace. Everything needs to be cooled. Everything needs to be made. Energy has something to do with and touches almost everything we do when it comes to our goods and services. When you lose control of the pricing of your energy, you've lost control of your pricing, which means that you're going to have rampant inflation. And that's what we're seeing right now. That's the first thing. And the second thing I would say to this is obviously that was not a good look by her. But there's two things that this administration runs on, right? Whatever Trump did is bad, and they want to reverse it, i.e. the pipeline. But the other thing is they hate fossil fuels. We're not seeing research and development anymore. Nobody really wants to get into that business because what's your upside? They are actively pushing Americans toward renewables when renewables can't handle the grid. That's the problem. So we've got wind and solar when it's not windy and it's not sunny that we're trying to take down as our energy source, and they're actively discouraging fossil fuels. They're trying to change our behavior without letting us come to that realization on our own when it's the right thing to do. It's supposed to be an evolution. They're making it a revolution. They're trying to change behavior, but they're really forcing a change, and all they're doing is driving up the cost of fossil fuel in the meantime.
Well, 2 days later, here's what she said after that comment. Let's listen. Do you think they will actually use it, and how unusual would that be?
It'd be unusual, but it really wouldn't do that much. What I really see when I watch that interview is this. They just hate fossil fuels. That's because you and I will both sit here and watch that and think, they can't really think that they're going to go to OPEC cap in hand and think that they're going to relent to doing anything we want to do. I mean, no right-minded third grade American would think that the OPEC would say, oh, okay, yeah, here, have some more oil. I get it. Your prices are too high. So when you think like that, you think, you know what? They absolutely know what they're doing. They cannot be that stupid. And they just hate fossil fuels that much. That's the bottom line, but they won't say it.
So a lot of time, actually, let me ask you about that, Scott, because not too long ago, we were energy dependent. What happened?
Well, we have enough energy here, but we've lost control of distribution, right? Net gas is still around $5.50 in the U.S., but it's $28 to $30 abroad. They have a genuine shortage in Europe. They've tried to go to it too quickly. We have enough, but we can't distribute it. That's the problem. So we can't do any more new pipelines. We have this administration that wants to make the air and water clean. By the way, it's the cleanest it's ever been in this country, on the backs of our energy sector and all the workers that are included in that, so that India and China can continue to pollute. It doesn't, see, when I say it doesn't make any sense, they know it doesn't make any sense. So they're trying to just let you know without ever saying it that they hate fossil fuels and they don't want you to use them, and they want you to move towards wind and solar regardless of whether it can handle it or not yet, because they hope that it gets so expensive that it'll end up going there anyway.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, I want to get you on these new driverless trucks that Walmart rolled out today. This is going to freak me out a little bit, I think, when I see them on the road. But is this good news, do you think, or is this trouble for truck drivers?
Well, this is the inevitable result of supply chain issues. You mentioned that at the top of your show. But let's just remember a couple of things. Truck driving in 27 states is the #1 industry. And for those people out there that don't have a college degree, just a high school degree, it's the #1 industry. So what are they trying to do by mandating driverless vehicles across the country? What is happening here? It's another war on the middle class. I mean, I'm not a crazy person, but just think about it. If 27 states, trucking is the #1 industry, and of those states, those people that don't have a college degree, that's the #1 job. What are they trying to do here? Why don't they invest in trying to get more guys on the road? Change some of the regulations. I mean, it just, you know what, when I say it doesn't make sense, it's because it doesn't. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I love it when a guy in a cow jacket and a cow bow tie says, "I'm not crazy."
Right.
That's why we love you. Scott Shellady, it's good to see you, my friend. I hope you're enjoying Nashville. Take care.
All righty, thanks.
Because of the outrageous behavior of the last administration, you coming across the border, whether it was legal or illegal, and you lost your child. You lost your child. It's gone. You deserve some kind of compensation, no matter what the circumstance. What that will be, I have no idea.
That was President Biden Saturday supporting plans to pay migrant families separated under the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy in 2018. Notably, it's different than what he said to reporters just last week.
So this is a garbage report?
Yeah.
Okay. So
$450,000 per person. Is that what you're saying?
that was separated from a family member at the border under the last administration?
That's not going to happen.
So the president now says last week's comments were in regard to the amount reported, $450,000, something the White House tried to make clear before the president did. Joining me now for more on this, Victor Avila, former ICE special agent, and immigration attorney David Leopold. Victor, let's start with you. You heard what the president said there. You lost your child. You deserve some kind of compensation. You agree or disagree?
I disagree with the compensation. The first thing that comes to my mind, Joe, is if we're going to compensate anyone, let's start compensating the U.S. citizens that have been killed, aliens in this country at the hands of illegal aliens. Let's do that. Let's start compensating there from the people that shouldn't have been here to begin with.
David, you heard the president make his case. He called it criminal. I'm assuming you can probably leave it at that, because I'm curious. We know why it's controversial. Why has it been so confusing?
Well, it's confusing because, you know, he's right. It was criminal. It was a kidnapping. What they did, the Trump administration, was they used this policy called zero tolerance to arrest and prosecute people who were asylum seekers. And the law is pretty clear that you can come to the United States in any way, shape, or form to apply for asylum. Section 208 and Section 235, pretty clear. So the Trump administration really had no business doing what they were doing. They took advantage of the fact that crossing the border between border checkpoints is a federal misdemeanor. Actually, crossing to apply for asylum, you know, at border checkpoints is not. But they nevertheless, in both cases, separated children from their parents. From asylum-seeking parents, they took their children.
Is that criminal, though, David?
Well, you know, they are covered by, you know, all kinds of immunity. So no, they're not going to be criminally prosecuted. It's immoral. It's a stain on this country, and you know, it's child abuse. Don't take my word for it. That's the American Association of Pediatrics. That's the Physicians for Human Rights talking. Child abuse, persistent psychological trauma. And when we're talking about, Joe, when we're talking about compensating these families, you know, that's under our court system. That's part of our law. So that's for a judge or a jury to decide, depending on the situation.
So it's the judge ultimately, Victor, I guess, who will determine this number here. But do we know more about how many migrants might get it? Because, I mean, our reports, we've heard 300, but DHS, I guess, reports more than 2,000 kids who still haven't been reunited. I think we might have lost Victor. So, David, let's bring you back in on this then, if you would. I think that what some of the confusion has been, David, is that some of these kids came in with smugglers, others came in without parents. How do you determine who should get this money, and how much do you think it'll ultimately be?
Well, I think we're talking about, and my numbers may be wrong, Joe, but my understanding was we're talking in the neighborhood of whatever the numbers you said, 300, 400. I think you could determine. That's why we have a judge and that's why we have a jury, depending on the circumstances. And if compensation is warranted, it ought to be paid because the harm was so horrific.
So how did they get to that number, David?
Well, they get to that number because you have severe psychological trauma. You have trauma and damage that no money amount is ever going to compensate.
Right, but it needs to be an amount, though. What do you think it is in the end?
Well, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I have no way of evaluating the case, nor do you, nor does anybody. But it sounds to me like they're negotiating.
Right.
These figures came from the press that we're hearing, 450,000 or 500,000. If that's an appropriate number, then the court will approve that number. That's why we have courts.
Hey, Victor, you are back with us here. I'll give you the last 30 seconds. Sorry about that.
Sorry about my connection there, Joe. But listen, let's not forget that this started under the Obama-Biden administration when the ones that started separating families. And by the way, you know how many they separated? Thousands under the Biden administration just since he's been president. Right now, as we speak, we still have thousands of unaccompanied minors. He needs to acknowledge the chaos that he's created at the border. And if he wants to end this, he needs to take a look at the border and finally do some real border security enforcement. And it's wide open right now.
All right, David, rebut that for 10 seconds if you can for me, and then we got to go.
You know, with all due respect, Victor, it didn't start under Obama, number one. And number two, the border has been a problem. We do need border security. But let's remember why people come to this country. They come to this country for the same reason my father, my ancestors.
They're coming because Biden administration has invited them.
Excuse me, Victor, I didn't interrupt you. People come to this country because of the great pull of this country. This is America. And what we need is to get to the root causes of this problem. You know, the last administration cut off things like the Central America Minors Program.
David, we got to go, my friend. Wrap it up.
Okay. Anyway, we need to get to the root causes. We need to fix the problem down in Central America so people aren't tempted to come up here.
Victor Avila, David Leopold, we thank you both for your time. On Balance with Leland Vittert starts at the top of the hour. He joins us now. What's up?
Hey, $66 billion to an organization that has never been able to figure anything out, which is Amtrak.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where's the money coming from?
Us.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We're giving.
So this is part of the infrastructure?
Yeah, this is part of infrastructure, okay? So they're going to build a rail line from Phoenix to Tucson, because that's one of America's great problems.
I lived in Tucson for 10 years.
Did you have problems getting to Phoenix?
No, I drove.
Did you want to train?
I wouldn't mind taking a train if that's an option. I always do. All right, we'll see you at the top of the hour, Leland. A new record holder shows that age doesn't really matter. He climbed to the top of the record books. That's next. After nearly 20 months, vaccinated international travelers are now allowed back into the U.S. This is London. Travelers there, part of the first transatlantic flight to the U.S. today, celebrating in their own way, dressing up and taking pictures and commemorating the day. Well, that's certainly enough to warm any heart. Travelers required to show proof of vaccination and test negative for COVID within 3 days before they board their plane to the U.S. But for all who just want to be reunited with their families, today was the day for the books, for sure. Great to see those reunions happening. In tonight's American Snapshot, a man who has hiked to the top of the record books. He's now the oldest hiker to complete the Appalachian Trail. 83-year-old MJ Sonny Eberhardt earned the title yesterday. He's been hiking since 1993, just after retiring as an optometrist. Eberhardt started his hike in February at his home on Flag Mountain, Alabama, adding hundreds of extra miles to his already 2,193-mile route. And based on the looks of it, he didn't shave while he was on the trail, but that's fine too, because that is a righteous beard for sure. They've walked from Chicago to California, Newfoundland to Florida, and the Florida Keys to northern Quebec. And he's not finished yet. A modern-day Forrest Gump. That's tonight's American Snapshot. That'll do it for us. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night. On Balance is next. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.